Hello and welcome to an extremely special video today. This video has been a long time coming. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for your patience. The last time I did one of these videos was over 3 years ago, and this is a video of my entire Imperium force. It has literally taken me days to set all of this up. It's a little bit sad because we may never get to see them all out again, you know, like this in this area, with just, you know, the few things I've got planned coming up, and well, even the models that don't feature in this video, if I was to include those, it would just be too big for this area. So it's a little bit sad. I'm not sure when I will do another one of these videos. I'll have to hire a haul out or something, and I did want to bring you my entire collection of Warhammer, like every single miniature, but it's now just not possible to fit in one room. So this is the entire Imperium force. It's not all of the models that I own. It doesn't include the Chaos armies, the Xenos armies, or any of the Age of Sigmar models, or the small Adeptus Titanicus force I'm building, or the Necromunda. But I wanted to get out all of the Imperium force for you today. We will go through some fun facts and statistics in a short while, but let me just give you a rundown of the force. The force consists of my entire Space Marines chapter, including all of the Primaris down there on the right, of which there are over 200. Overall, there's over 700 Space Marines, so I'm not far off an entire chapter. I'm confident that with a few more units of tactical Space Marines and some of the new Primaris units that are coming out, I will reach that goal of 1,000 Space Marines for the chapter. Finally finish the chapter. That will be a great feeling, and I'd like to do that next year. There will be a separate video of just Space Marines. Likewise, there'll be a separate video of just Space Marine tanks. So I hope you enjoy those videos too. But on top of the Space Marine chapter with the Primaris reinforcements, it also includes the Legio Titanicus Titan Maniple, which is one Warlord Titan, one Nemesis Warbringer Titan, a Reaver Titan, and 2 Warhounds. Now, if you watch the channel, you'll know that I do own a second Warlord, and construction is on the way for that one. And there will be a separate Titan collection video coming very soon as well, where I talk about each individual Titan and my plans for the Titan Legion. It also consists of a knightly house there, of where there are 16 knights, including 3 of these Erastus knights. And there are also 20 Titan Guard hidden around the feet of those Titans. There is a small force of Adeptus Mechanicus, and I would like to expand that Mechanicus range a bit more. There's a few more units that I'd like to support that force with, and there is potential of starting a Mechanicum army. And there is a potential of bolstering that force with Mechanicum. If we move you over here with a nice array of gold, there is a Talons of the Emperor contingent consisting of decently sized Custodian Guard force and a few Sisters of Silence. Over in the back there, hidden away, there's an inquisitorial force with a number of inquisitors, their entourage including some bounty hunters. There's a Death Watch force and Grey Knights. And then over here on the left, you've got the start of my Sisters of Battle army, which I covered at the start of 2020. Before I zoom in to each of the forces individually, like I give you a really good zoom, I'd just like to announce that there are still a few units that are missing that didn't make it into this video, such as the 2nd Warlord Titan, the 2nd Astreus Super Heavy Tank, and the Ares Gunship. And there's also a number of Primaris units that didn't make it into the video. I have to make this video at some point, and I decided now was a decent time to do it. If I had chosen to build those units, I wouldn't be making this video right now. There would have been a delay by another month or so. However, the demand for this video was pretty high, and I no longer wished to delay the creation of it. What I will say that did make it into the video that wasn't present 3 years ago was the Nemesis Titan. That was not there 3 years ago. The 3 new Cerastus Knights, the entire Primaris force just wasn't present, and the entire Sisters of Battle force. So although there's a couple of units that didn't make it, there's an awful lot that has been added over these 3 years. And you'll see that in the Xenos armies with the huge expansion of the Necron force, the birth of the Death Guard, and my dive into Chaos, and just the huge explosion of Age of Sigmar models that I've collected over these 3 years too. All in all, I'd probably say that I've doubled the collection in these 3 years. So one of the first questions people have about my collections and things is, Super, how much did that cost you? Well, you've made it this far into the video, so I'll explain. This army took me over 20 years to collect. I didn't go out and buy it overnight or even over a few years. It's over 20 years. That amount of time might even be longer than a few of you have been on this planet. So it's taken a long time to collect, but there has been an increased growth over the past 3 years. The Titans alone, just for those 5 models, would cost you £4,000, and that's just for 5 models. All of the Knights down there, of which there are 16, that would cost over £2,000. So we're already at £6,000 just from the big walkers that you can see, not including all of the tanks and things like that. So Super, how much does this collection cost you in total? Now, going along with what I said about it taking me over 20 years, this collection right here, just for the Imperium side of things, is worth over £20,000. That's my conservative calculations kicking in. That's with the Titans and Knights costing over 6,000. There's 2 flyers over there that cost about £1,500 in total. Some tanks are £200, £300. The Custodes collection is over £2,000. So you can see there's a huge amount that's been invested into this Imperium force, and it's not finished. Will it ever be finished? Yeah, I'm close to that finishing point. Before we zoom into each of the models and units, I say individually, I will go through just some fun facts about this force. Of course, there are 5 Titans there, there are 16 Knights, there are 23 Dreadnoughts, there are 114 Terminators, there are 60 tanks and 11 flyers, and as I said, about 500 Legacy Space Marines and about 200 Primaris Space Marines. But Super, what about points cost? You've given us the prices, you've given us some of the number of the units there. What about points? We want to know, how many points does a collection like this cost you? It's over 70,000 points. You've got to remember there are 16,000 points of Titans in that shot, and about 4,000 points worth of Knights. And then we've still got some individual units which are 1,000 or close to 1,000 points each, such as the Stormbird and the Thunderhawk. Even the Mastodon is knocking on the door at 1,000 with 800 points. There's 4,000 points of Land Raiders right there. I've been very conservative with my forces in only putting like 1,000 points with Grey Knights and 1,000 points of Death Watch. I've been very conservative with the Primaris forces. Tanks, there's over 3,000. Dreadnoughts, there's over 2,000. So yeah, I worked it out, including all the characters and other bits and bobs. It's about 70,000 points overall. That's what I've calculated it to be. And that's using the very, very up-to-date Space Marine Codex and the Imperium Armour Compendium. Okay, super. You've given us all of the facts, the points costs, the actual price costs of the models, and the unit numbers, but there are still a few questions on the tip of our tongues. Well, what's your favourite model in this entire collection? I can already see that comment coming through, and that is the Warlord Titan, followed closely by the Thunderhawk gunship. It's my pride and joy. It's one of the reasons why I picked up a second one 5 years later. Can you believe it? It's been over 5 years since I purchased that model, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's on display all the time. It's a real showcase. It's one of my favourite models to display just because of the amount of work that went into it. I will be doing a separate video for the Titan, so I'll cover them a little bit more closely. But as you can see, plenty of detail on that miniature. If we just move to the right, we've also got this little guy right here, the Nemesis Warbringer Titan. All the armour plates and things are off right now. It is a work in progress. I'm currentently working on this one. It's at the painting stage, which I'm really pleased about. Then moving over to the right, we've got a Reaver Titan, which is a fair bit smaller. And then we've got 2 Warhounds. Protecting all of them, I don't know whether you can see them through the legs, but there is a small force of Titan Guard. You really need some ground troops to protect your Titans from foot soldiers. Then I've got a few knights in form of the Cerastus Lancer, the Castigator and the Acheron. And then we've got some more Questoris knights here, Castellan and a Valiant, some Armigers and Helverins, Canis Rex, a couple more knights, and the Porphyrion, which, as you can see, if you've been part of any of the size comparisons, it's pretty much the same height as a Warhound if you were thinking about picking one up. Then we've got a small force of Adeptus Mechanicus. I did really think that I had more of those, but I guess it's still a growing army. I really was under the impression I had more than 20 little troops, but I guess I've been using them all for Titan Guard. If we look down here, we've got the entire force of the Primaris. There's over 200 Primaris Space Marines in total. We've got some of the tanks, including the new Gladiator, and a couple of Repulsors, and the Impulsor and the Executioner. We've got one of 2 of my Astraeus super heavy tanks. I much prefer the bigger tracked vehicles that we're going to see in a moment. Moving along the line, we've got all of these dreadnoughts, a huge number of them there, and they are backed up by all of these tanks. So yeah, there are 4 Vindicator tanks there. If we move over to the left, there are about 9 Rhinos. Need to get a fair few of those. I've only got 6 Predators. Shocking. There's a few bundles on Forge World that I'll need to pick up to boost their numbers. Yeah, an absolutely insane amount of Land Raiders there. I think there's like 13 or so. And then you've got some Land Raider chassis, the super heavy variants like the Spartans. That's a Spartan there. Next to it is a Typhon. You've got a Cerberus over there in the top left. You've got the Command Land Raider from Warhammer World. You've got the Mastodon. Lovely kit. I'd love a second one. You've got another Spartan and a Fellblade. I'd love the Falchion and Glaive one day. You've got the Thunderhawk gunship, my second favourite model. I would not hesitate to pick up a second one of them. Absolutely lovely kit. Then you've got an Orion dropship for the Custodes. Haven't put my Ares one together yet. Then you've got the Stormbird, absolutely huge flyer. Yes, it's not as big as a Tau Manta, but it is huge. After the Warlord and the Nemesis, it's probably the biggest model I own. I can't really do it justice from this angle, but it is huge. You can tell how tall it is because it's kind of almost as tall as the Mastodon there, and it's got the top wings. You've got a few flyers hidden there. You've got a Vulture gunship that's landed. You've got a Valkyrie and a Corvus Blackstar. You've got the Xiphon Interceptor. I'd love a few more of those. You've got a couple of Storm Ravens and Storm Talons, and then you've got a few Sicarans. and a number of land speeders, and a number of bikes. And then we get to some of the other forces. So if we just jump on over to there, and then you will see the Death Watch, the Inquisitors. I think you can just see Eisenhorn right there, surrounded by assassins. You've got some of the bounty hunters from Blackstone Fortress. They're flanked on the left with the Death Watch, and then the Inquisitorial Force is also flanked on the right by start of, well, more Death Watch, and then the start of the Grey Knights. Not very many Grey Knights at all. But then there is an explosion of gold right here with all of these Custodes. There's a Telemon that is a fan favourite. You've got Valdor there. You've got a number of Custodes, Custodes Dreadnoughts of the different tanks. There's even a Land Raider there. And some Venatari, and some of the Custodes jet bikes. You see I'm following a theme there with the jet bikes, the normal bikes, and then we go into more fast attack in the form of probably about 70 assault marines, all with jump packs. Let's carry on over to the left still, and we look at the Sisters of Silence and the Sisters of Battle. A number of units there. They're all covered in the new releases. Lots of these flying Seraphim and Zephyrim. They were an absolute pain to put on the stand setting this up. And then you've got an absolute sea of Space Marines. If you like Space Marines, yeah, this is why you're here. Hundreds of them in both the normal armor, current 41st Millennium armor, and then we've got some Mark 3s and Mark 4 variants. And then we've got just hiding behind Sanguinius there is Gulliman, and there's Sanguinius the Primarch himself. So yeah, there are two Primarchs in this this force. We've got Garrow and Rubio. Maybe I will collect more of the Knights Errant, who knows. And you've got plenty of characters there. Some of them are limited, some of them you can no longer get. Yeah, I'm very, very pleased with the sort of characters in that force. I'm very, very pleased with the HQ characters. Moving back to the right, you've got a load of Vanguard and Stern Guard, and then you've got all of those 100 Terminators. If you like Terminators, again, this is the video for you. All 100 of them. Yeah, it's a sea of Terminators. And then we move over back to the Primaris. There's about 6 Centurions there. I'd like to get 3 more. Nice round figure of 9. I did forget to mention the most elite units of this entire force is the Scouts. They're extremely elite. Probably about 70 Scouts or so, right there. So there you go. That is my entire Imperium force. Hello and welcome to my Warhammer 40,000 Xenos collection video. Right in front of you is displayed every single Xenos model that I own. We've got a number of armies here. Of course, it's probably about a third of the size of the Imperium army, which will be coming very soon, so stay tuned to the channel. And if you like all of these videos, please do support the channel by subscribing, joining as a member, and use the affiliate link below in the comment section. Save yourself 25% off your Warhammer goodness. Now, there are a number of armies in this collection. We will be zooming in a little bit later on, but in the far left corner you've got Genestealer cults, and that filters through to the Tyranid force. It's a growing force. I've still got a battle force to create, and I've still got a battle force for Necrons, but after the Tyranids you've then got some Orcs, quite a large army of Orcs actually. It's the largest Xenos army that I have, and it was the second army that I collected in my sort of hobby career, if you call it that. Then we've got some Eldar. I'd like to expand the range, but the models are so old and they need a massive update. We've got some Drakari or Dark Eldar in there. We've got some, basically all of those are called Eldari now, but you've got some Inari with Iniad and Ivrain and so on. Then if we slide over to the right, you've then got the Necron force. Growing Necron force, as I say, I've got a full battle force to get set up, and there are a few other units that I want to add to complete that army. As always, I just want to reiterate, this army has taken me well over 20 years to collect, along with the Imperium army. I didn't just get all of these overnight. I don't feel like I should have to explain why most of the models aren't painted, but yeah, if you're new here, you may not know that this YouTube channel isn't my job, although I release a video every single day. It's a huge hobby for me to share my hobby with you all, and I typically am so busy getting the new releases and building the new releases and reviewing the new releases that I rarely have any time for myself, let alone paint any of the miniatures. If that's an important thing for you, then so be it, but actually painting for me personally is my least favourite part of the hobby. I don't display any of these models, I don't take them to games, so after I've built them, and if I painted any of them, they go back into a box. Anyway, let's zoom into some of these armies then. So if we kick off with the Genestealer cults right here, I don't know why I put the Lictor up there for Tyranids, but I have. You've got the Tectonic Frag Drill there for Genestealer cults. You've got a Hive Crone or Harpy, I think it's a Hive Crone, there on the right hand side, a big flyer for Tyranids. It's quite expensive, but it's got a lot of presence and is, yeah, I'd probably say one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Tyranid model that they do right now in plastic. But they're all the Genestealer cults. You've got a few Brood Lords, I think they are. I think you've got a Patriarch. You've also got some Brood Brothers. You've got a load of Kellimorphs. I've still got a few to build. You've got all of the different characters and things in there. You've also got some Aberrants hiding away with the big hammers and pickaxes, brutes of models right there. Over to the right, you've got some of the vehicles. I really like the Atalan Jackals, you know, the dirt bikes, and you've got the Rock Grinder, and I think it's an Achilles, and I think you've got the little buggy. But then we move quite seamlessly over to the Tyranid force, and right bang in the middle there, you've got a Malanthrope. You've got some Zoanthropes. You've got the Hive Guard. You've got one of those awesome drop pods, the Tyrannocyte, I think it is. You've got a Trigon. You've only got a few Carnifexes there. I'd like to bump up those. You've got the awesome Swarm Lord, which essentially has 4 arms with swords, and then even there's a sword on its head. It loves it. I think we've got 6 warriors. I've put the Zote in there, and some Spore Mines, and also the Amble, just because they are Xenos in the 40k Millennium, and I thought, yeah, I might as well put them with the Tyranid. And a fun fact about Zotes is they were kind of like the communicators between Tyranids and other races at one point, but you know, their numbers have dwindled. But it's great to see GW bringing them back, even though I do prefer the Blood Bowl version of the Zote. You've got some big Gribblies here. You've got everything from Exocrines to Tyrannofexes. You've got the awesome Dimacheron and the Malaceptor, and the Horror Specs, one of the new additions from the Battle Force. Then that's pretty much it for the Tyranid force. I'm not in a big rush of adding any more units. I'm quite happy with the way that Tyranid and Genestealer army is progressing. Maybe I'd get another like Rock Grinder vehicle, but very happy with that army. In my eyes, it's pretty much complete. Then let's wah over to the Orc side of things. Oh my lord. Praise Gork and Mork. There are a ton of Orcs. This is the largest Xenos army that I own, probably that I've spent the most money on as well. I mean, I am investing more into Necrons recently, but you've got a couple of flyers, you've got a Morkanaut hidden at the back. Sorry that that's hidden, but it's just around there. You've got the Stomper, which is incredible. It's, you know, big as a Warhound Titan and the largest plastic kit that GW make for 40k. You've got a gun wagon and one of those mech guns. You've got some of the old Death Copters. You've got a Dreadnought. You've got a number of killer cans. You've got the new Gazgul model there, absolutely fantastic. You've got a custom Basilisk and all of the buggies that they recently released. You've got the War Trike. You've got plenty of mega armoured knobs and a decent handful of knobs. If you were part of the Orcvember and Knobvember, then you'll just know how much screen time I like to give to my knobs, and this collection showcase is no different. Big knobs there. There's knobs actually dotted around the place, really, for that matter. I've even hidden some of the knobs in between the boys. We've also got some flash gits and the Orc looters as well. Moving down, we've got a number of war bosses, big mechs, and then right down here we've got a decent sized number of Orc boys. I would like to probably double the size of those Orc boys at one point. Depends if Games Workshop pull their finger out and update them, because they've been around for almost 20 years. Got a war boss, very old metal war boss there, and a load of Gretchen and more boys. And then after that large Orc collection, let's move over to the Eldar or Eldari, which consist of a number of armies. I didn't realise I had that many Wave Serpents. So I've got a plastic Wave Serpent and an older Wave Serpent I actually custom built. That green one there, I made the rear door, the front wings, those plates as well. That was before the Wave Serpent model was even out. Absolutely love it. Anyway, moving along, we've got an old Fire Prism, some old Wraith Lords, got a newer plastic Wraith Lord there, Iniad, and a load of Farseers, even a Bone Singer, and an old Avatar. Yeah, you've got a Warwalker, I think it is, and a load of Banshees. I think there's 15 Banshees or so, with the very nice new Phoenix Lord Jain Zar. You've got some Drakari, and that's you know, the only Drakari that I've built. There are more about to be built that I got in a, well, I think it was the Blood of the Phoenix set that came out ages ago. You got some Wraithguard. Again, there are some more to be built. And you've got some old Guardians, some old Fire Dragons. You've also got some Dire Avengers, and I forgot over here you've got some of the Wind Riders and a couple of Vipers. I'm pleased that they refreshed the, you know, the Eldar jet bike. I even put a Farseer on one, but I would like to see them refresh all of the Eldar tanks. Yeah, surprisingly enough, I don't own a Wraith Knight. Crazy, right? I would like to get a Wraith Knight one day, but maybe that will be the day when Games Workshop refresh some of the Aspect Warriors. But at the moment, because GW aren't supporting this army like at all, I don't feel that much motivation to you know, get a Wraith Knight right now, when it's going to be surrounded by really old models. Moving across, we've got some Harlequins. I've got a couple of jet bikes and that flyer, and a little troop there with a Solitaire. It's quite nice, and a Death Jester. Yeah, very small Harlequin force. I don't feel that much motivation to bump up their numbers either. And then we've got a flyer over there for Eldar. So that's the Eldar force. Let's move on over to the most recent addition. Necrons are definitely a force that I'm actively adding to. I've got the recent Battle Force. There's a few more models for Necrons for them to release, and I'm constantly on the lookout for just bumping up their numbers. And one of the main reasons is because there's a lot of new models there. They've really done a great job, and I want to support that more than, say, the Tyranids, the Orcs, the Eldar, because most of the models that GW have released for Necrons recently are absolutely gorgeous. They are pricey, you know. We've now got the Shard of the Void Dragon right here, which is, let's face it, about £70 for one sprue. With this army, they've created the most expensive single sprue miniature in this army. You've also got a load of other expensive ones in that shot, such as the Silent King, which is about £100. You've got the brand new Monolith again, which is £100. So yeah, that's almost £300 in two of the models. Let's not forget the Forge Serap tech in the back, which again is knocking on the door of £300. But you've got some fantastic newer models that are, I say, more reasonably priced, including that really tall Doomstalker. I had a lot of fun with the Doomsday Arc, but they've also released the new Necron Warriors with the Scarabs, the Lockhurst Heavy Destroyer, the Ophidian Destroyers, and the Hexmark Destroyer. I do have a complete battle force to be building, so the plans for the Necron army is to just keep adding to it. I have a number in mind of when to stop for this army. I'm looking at a Tesseract Vault, I'm looking at a Night Shroud Bomber from Forge World, and then that's pretty much that army complete for me. So out of all of these army collection videos, I would go as far as to say that these Xenos armies are the closest to be completed. Geosylicals, Tyranids and Orcs I'm happy with. Eldar I would like to add, but I'm restricted by the old models. And Necrons, I'm not that far off completing. For me personally, there's more growth and interest in adding to the Age of Sigmar collection, which is the smallest collection, but it's the one that I'm most looking forward to adding to and bumping up the numbers. All of these armies, with the exception of Necrons right now, I would be happy just to not purchase any more and focus solely on all of their painting and their paint schemes. And that's it for my Warhammer 40,000 Xenos Armies collection video. My showcase of my entire Chaos Space Marine force. Now this includes a small selection of Chaos Demons, specifically Nurgle, with only 2 Khorne Demons, which is probably a teaser of things to come on the channel, Death Guard Space Marines, and also Chaos Space Marines of the Wordbearers Legion. So before I zoom in to various parts of the army, I'd just like to say 3 years ago this army didn't even exist in any shape or form when I did my entire collection video of all my Warhammer 40,000 armies. For 40k I've split the videos into this one, which is all of the Chaos Space Marines including Death Guard and Chaos Demons, a Xenos video covering Tyranids, Dark Eldar, Orcs, Eldar, Harlequins and Necrons, and then my Imperium video which covers, yeah, all the Titans and the Knights and the Space Marines, Sisters, Custodes and the Agents of the Imperium. So 3 years ago this army, or armies, didn't even exist. I took the plunge with the Death Guard when they released a few years ago. I really enjoyed the models. And then I subscribed to Conquest, and that has given me a fair number of sort of extra models in this force. So I really like the Death Guard models, and then after I covered all of their releases, including Mortarion right at the back, I then predictably moved on to Demons of Nurgle and purchased a few of those sets. I didn't quite transition fully over to Maggotkin, but great news, after Gloomspite Gits, over the next couple of months, I will be moving on to Maggotkin. I'm really looking forward to adding more kind of Demons of Nurgle and Maggotkin to the force. Looking forward to the big Gribblies and things. I'll try and get one of each to cover it all. And of course soon we've got the release of the Death Guard supplement and a couple of new models for them. So yeah, the force has grown. I think there's about 60, 70 potswalkers over there. There's about 50 cultists. I think there's actually I think there's 70 or 80 Space Marines in total, which isn't too bad. You know, there's some supporting units as well, like 4 Myphitic Blight Haulers, a few Blight Drones, the Lord Discordant, a couple of Rhinos and Plague Burst Crawlers, and a few Demons and Spawns at the back, along with the Feculent Narmor and some nice Nurgle Gribblies. Cost-wise and points-wise, I really have no idea. About 5,000 points just off the top of my head, but that's a huge rough estimate. Okay, so let's get up close and personal in this sea of green. So we'll start off right here with Abaddon, the Despoiler, right there. Fantastic mini. If you still haven't picked one up, I strongly suggest you do, because it's a lovely kit. A bit pricey, but yeah, lovely kit. Fantastic model. And right here I've got, I say a few of his retinue. I've got some you know, single Chaos Lords and HQs. You can see the one with the hammer, you can see Fabius Bile, you can see Typhus, you can see the Lord of Contagion. You've got some Psychers there. I think that's Ahriman over there. So yeah, you've got some Psychers, some Sorcerers. Yeah, you've got the Horus Heresy Sorcerer in Cataphractii armor with the summoning a demon. You've got the old Sorcerer Lord, still a great model, even though it's very old now. You've got a load of Terminators. I think there's about 17 Terminators or so, including the sort of standard Chaos ones. I much prefer the Blight Lord Terminators, fantastic kit. And then we've got probably one of my favourite units in the whole army, the Myphitic Blight Haulers, such cute little jumping spider units. We've got some Blight Drones. I'd like to get the final one, the Flesh Mower, just to round that little flying force up. We've got a couple of Rhinos. I have no need of getting many more Rhinos. If anything, I'd like a Land Raider, a nice Nurgle Land Raider. A couple of Plague Burst Crawlers. We've got the Venom Crawler and the Lord Discordant, fantastic looking models. I wish the Venom Crawler was available separately. I don't think I'm the only one in saying that. You've got a sea of cultists and potswalkers. I'm happy with the way the flesh has gone out. I just need to do some detail on those and spray and wash the other potswalkers. So still moving across, we've got a load of Chaos Space Marines and Plague Marines. Also next to the Terminators, we've got just some Havocs, fantastic models. Lovely Reaper chain gun in there, but you only get one in a kit, a bit disappointing. And some excellent Obliterators, again, wish they were available separately. I've got some models there, like some Spindle Drones and some Beastmen. They go really well with the Chaos Force. So moving across, we've got some more Chaos Space Marines and Plague Marines. Really like the models. I wouldn't hesitate to pick up more box sets of Plague Marines, because I think that kit's fantastic. And as you can see just down there, one of my recent purchases, which I don't think I've even done an unboxing and review of yet, is the Gal Vorbak. Fantastic resin minis, and I'd like to expand that further. This forces Word Bearers and Death Guard, and yeah, I think at the moment Death Guard are winning in terms of the number of bodies there. But I definitely like to pump up the numbers for the Word Bearers and get them probably equal. The only thing about the Word Bearers is they don't have many big Gribblies and things. Maybe I look at getting some demons and things to bolster them. And if I want to use them in the Chaos Force, I'll just use them as possessed, although they're borderline greater possessed, which these two are here. They're on the same size bases, but they've got more claws and things going on, I think, but only just. And the Gal Vorbak are, I want to say a little bit more subtle, but yeah, not really. Anyway, you've got a number of elite units such as Noxious Blightbringers, Tallymen, the Great Executioners, Plague Surgeons. There's just a nice, decent number of all of those models there. Over here is another new purchase, the Raptors, along with Harken Worldclaimer. I'd like to get another box set. Even though it's an old kit, you can make the Warp Talons as well, and I'd probably go for some Warp Talons next. And then if we move over to the Nurgle Gribblies, we've got some more Blight drones, we've got some Plague Bearers, we've got the Feculent Narmor, which I recently finished painting. I think it looks fantastic, really chuffed with the way that came out. Moving across, we've got little Beast of Nurgle, we've got a few Chaos Spawns, we've got some of the Nurgle minis from the Gelapox set with Alicia Vane and the other characters for a kill team, I think it was. And we do have a Greater Demon of Nurgle there, a Great Unclean one, in fact. And I would like to get a Roticus and the Forge World Great Unclean one to round those demons up. Right in the middle, we've got Mortarion, and we've got the Noctilith Crown. And then over to the right, again, one of my newest purchases, a Chaos Knight. I think it's a Desecrator, the one with the laser destructor. Fantastic weapon, and just gives any of these two Chaos armies a bit of a long range punch. And for me, I think that would be an auto include. So there you go. That is my entire force of Chaos Space Marines and Death Guard and Chaos Demons. Not a huge number of models, of units at all, but I think I'm doing quite well for just slightly over 3 years of collecting these. I never once thought I would ever collect Chaos or Chaos Space Marines at all, and the Death Guard just yeah, dragged me down this rabbit hole. So much so that if there are any newer models like Fabius Bile I picked up, or Abaddon, then I'm not going to hesitate to try and secure them. There's still a fair bit of work in terms of collecting for this army, but I'm happy with the direction it's going, and I think Maggotkin will bump up the Nurgle forces at least, and quite possibly motivate me to at least finish, you know, the Nurgle demon side of things. Probably get another Nurgle start collecting set, and the Greater Demons, and you know, everything to do with Maggotkin. So in summary, I'm happy with the way this force is going and this collection. My favourite model in all of this is the Myphitic Blight Hauler. I think it's so cute, like a little jumping spider vehicle thing. At the moment, at least, it's not affected by the number of wounds it takes, so it can carry on till the bitter end. A close second is Mortarion, of course. I'm really impressed with that model. But there are a few other standout models, such as the Lord Discordant there, and the Narmor. I think it gives you plenty of opportunity to, you know, paint maggots, and you know, the whole Death Guard army. Whenever I'm getting bored of painting Space Marines, I always come back to Death Guard and Nurgle, because they just definitely get my creative juices flowing. Anyway. Welcome to another collection video. This time this video focuses on my entire Warhammer Age of Sigmar collection. As you can see, it's the smallest of all of my collections. I purchased some of the really old Chaos Warriors models back in Warhammer Fantasy, probably about 16 years ago or so, and never really got into it. Always been into 40k, but recently, 3 years ago, I delved into Nurgle and picked up a few of the new models for that range, and then took a bit of a break from it until the very start of 2020, when I purchased the Slaves of Darkness set, the Start Collecting set. I then picked up a couple of the units for the Warcry, including the Gladiators and the Formoroid Crusher and the Myrmidon and the Sphinx, and also I could not resist the awesome Archaon. Very recently I covered all of the Luminath Realm Lords on the right. We'll zoom into some of these units very soon, and then over in the right hand corner there is a huge spider and a colossal squig and a limited edition Troggoth, and that paves the way for the next army, the Gloomspite Gits. If I was to make and to put all the Gloomspite Gits on this battle mat, it would probably encompass half of the models on here, maybe even more. So that just gives you an idea of how many Gloomspite Gitz models I've got to add to this collection. After I've finished the Gloomspite Gitz, I'll be moving on to Glock King to boost up the Nurgle side of the force, and I'll probably start collecting set of Glock King and of Nurgle again. And after both of those are complete, I'll move on to Ossiarch Bone Reapers, or maybe even look at what Games Workshop have for Warhammer Fantasy the Old World. Really interested to see the minis that they're going to produce for them. So let's move on over to the Nurgle force. I'd like to get a couple more great unclean ones, maybe a Rotigus, definitely more Plague Bearers, Blight Drones, Glockkin, Maggotkin, all the big Gribblies for Nurgle after I've gone through the Gloomspite phase. Keeping in the realms of chaos, there are a couple of units of Marauders, or maybe just a big unit of Marauders there. They're the old ones, and I definitely had fun converting a few of those with big sticks and nunchucks and shields for hats. That was a lot of fun. And then we've got some of the old Chaos Warriors with the square bases, and the new warriors from the set. Over here, again, we've got some of the new Chaos Knights and the Chaos Lord on the Karkadrak. We've also got a few sorcerers, like a Chaos Sorcerer Lord and a Gaunt Summoner of Tzeentch. Fantastic looking model. We've got the Fomeroid Crusher and the Myrmidon and the Spheranx, along with some of the Gladiators, and just over there, which I haven't done unboxings or reviews of yet on the channel, is a couple of core models. So that gives you an idea of where the channel's going, probably around the same time as the Nurgle and Glockkin forces arrive. You've got some old Chaos Knights there on the rectangular bases. And of course we have some Varangard, which again haven't featured on the channel yet, and Archaon himself. Definitely the tallest Age of Sigmar model I own. Dwarfs everything else. It's just a fantastic kit. I would recommend it to absolutely anyone because it's gorgeous. And then we've got one of the new Mega Gargants, the Giants. It's a nice kit. It is very expensive. You do have 3 options. Yeah, I've got a review of it. This one is for the Chaos Force there, for the Slaves to Darkness. I will definitely be getting the Kraken Eater for the Gloomspite Gitz. And maybe in the future, to go with the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, I'll be picking up the Gatecrusher. Moving over to the right, we have the Lumineth Realm Lords. Quite a controversial army, extremely expensive. We're talking almost £40 for 5 knights. And again, not that far off, just 10 of the normal troops there. They've got next to no customization or changes in aesthetics, with the exception of a couple of the Stone Guard. But the flip side of that, they are gorgeous looking minis. But they're not to everybody's tastes with all the cows going on. Now, we've got 2 Sprue Teclis making an appearance over there. Again, another quite controversial kit, it being only 2 sprues for over £100. It could be worse though. He could be the Void Dragon at 1 sprue for 70. Moving across, we've actually got my first ever Forge World model for Age of Sigmar, which is the Colossal Squig. And he is colossal. He consists of 4 pieces. I put him together in the live stream, then cleaned him up with a load of green stuff. You will need a bit of cleaning up with that model. We've got a very limited edition Rockgut Troggoth there with the Dwarf Slayer. I'm very privileged to own that model, and that is extremely rare. And then we've got a Spider, one of my 2 Arachnaroks for the Gloomspite Gitz. So we've got a little Gloomspite Gitz growing force there, and no doubt it's going to be bolstered by all of the other kits and things I've recently purchased, such as the Battle Force and the Start Collecting set, the Stabbers, the Troggoth Hag, and the Spider Riders, to name but a few. So if you like Age of Sigmar and you're partial to some Gloomspite Gitz, yeah, they're going to feature quite heavily on this channel, both in the live streams and in the upcoming unboxings and reviews. So there you go. That's my showcase of my quite humble Age of Sigmar collection, consisting of about 6 armies. As I say, it's my smallest collection, but it's about to explode in growth and double in size with the arrival of the Gloomspite kits and my announcement of covering Maggotkin. Hope you've enjoyed this video, having a look at all of my Age of Sigmar miniatures. As I said before, I've always been into Warhammer 40,000 much more than sort of traditional Warhammer Age of Sigmar. But recently I've found 40k to be quite stagnant, a bit boring, lacking of creativity in everything that they've been putting out. Whereas Age of Sigmar, I'm finding gems all the time with the kits and the Maggotkin, and hopefully the new Chaos models and a few more of the new Realm Lumineth models. And things are only set to improve once GW roll out the old world. And you've come to the end of my abridged version of my full collection. Please note that all of these collections were as of December 2020. If you're a subscriber and avid watcher of the channel, you will notice that the collection has grown quite considerably since the inception of this video. If you've made it all the way to the end, congratulations. You've witnessed a Warhammer collection that has taken over 25 years in the making, and I salute you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.